Today we're going to go over the 14 most popular attack strategies in the game, including the hero equipment and pet combinations you should do to get 3 stars all the time. And the first attack strategy we're going to cover is Fireball Rocket Loons. Now, to quickly explain this graphic, you've got the hero on the top row, then you've got the pet, and then you've got the hero equipment, and it is actually ranked. So the Earthquake Boots is more important than the Spiky Ball, the Magic Mirror is more important than the Healer Puppet, but both are obviously important to the success of this strategy. And more so than any other attack strategy in the game, the pet combination with this army is completely up to you. For instance, you can run the Frosty, the Jelly, or the Unicorn on the Warden. I prefer the Unicorn, gives the extra healing. Some like the Jelly because it gives the Warden just more power and moves through the base more quickly, but also puts you in more danger. If you're using this, I'd also recommend the Phoenix on the Royal Champion, particularly if you're using this ability, but you can also use the Phoenix on the King instead of the Jelly. So it is really a toss-up. This is what I prefer, but completely up to you. Now, you might think, where's the Electro Boots? With this attack strategy, you just need damage from the Royal Champion, and nothing does that better than this combination you see here. Next up, we have Fireball Super Witches. This one is a bit more self-explanatory. We do have the Electro Boots and the Haste Vial here, and the reason we've got the Haste Vial instead of the Hog Puppet is with the Fireball Super Witch, you've normally got 4 or 5 Valks to tank for your Royal Champion on the back end of the base, so we don't need the Hog Puppet for the extra healing and the invis that you get with it. Everything else here, though, is the exact same as the previous strategy. Now we're moving on to Hydra, an incredibly strong attack strategy, and I have 2 different graphics for this. This is for 1 to 2 clones, and this is for 3 clones, and you can see the difference here is the Rage Gem versus the Healing Tome. When you've got 1 to 2 clone spells, you have more spell space to bring Rages, whereas you don't have many spells left when you're bringing 3 clones, and likely a recall spell as well for your Queen, because with the Queen you want to use the Giant Arrow at the start to set a funnel, recall her with the healers from the Healer Puppet, and set the funnel on the other side. And the other big thing with this attack strategy is we are bringing the Minion Prince. You always want to bring the Jelly with the Minion Prince, so he's getting more effective damage done on the defenses. I prefer the Royal Champion with this attack strategy, but if the air spammers prefer the Minion Prince, they're going to be more right than me. It's worth noting we're not going to have the Mass Dragon Spirit Walk attack strategy. Probably should have been in the video, just didn't end up working out that way. Christmas obviously gets everyone busy because that's when I'm recording this. But if you do that attack strategy, I would drop the Minion Prince entirely. I know some people drop the King with that attack strategy, but time is a big issue with it. So you want the King and Queen setting a beautiful funnel on the outside, then bring the Royal Champion and obviously the Fox, the Electro Boots, and the Haste Vial. Now we're going to move on to a different air spam, and it is E-Dragons, and you're going to see we have the Royal Champion here, and the reason for the Royal Champion is the Minion Prince does so much damage that it's going to take away from the chains that the E-Dragons can get through the base. Using this same logic, that's why we bring the Phoenix instead of the Owl, because the Owl's going to take away potential chains. However, because we have the Phoenix on the Warden, it means we've got to move the Frosty to the King. You can bring the Unicorn on the Queen if you want, but it's just ricochet cannons and multi-arch towers destroy the Unicorn, whereas the Diggy is a bit better at staying alive and provides nice value with that. And then with the Royal Champion, I like this combination because we're going to stay out of CC range. We're going to do all our damage from range. Make sure we don't pull out that triple Ice Golem or Lava Hound or Ice Hound CC. That's going to mess up our push. Clear out the back end defenses so the E-Dragons can clear the middle. Now we're going to move on to the skilled attack strategies. I use it in brackets. They are definitely skilled, but no one uses them anymore because they are far too difficult at Town Hall 17. But you may be using it this strategy at the lower Town Hall, so hopefully this can be of use to you. And this is what I would recommend here. It is pretty dangerous to run the Boots and the Haste Vial when you don't have a lot of tanking for your Royal Champion, but I still think you're going to get a lot of damage really quickly with this, particularly if you can afford to bring an Invis or 2. I really like the Healing Tome with this attack strategy. Lalo's just better with the Healing Tome than it is the Life Gem. Now we move on to Queen Charge Lalo, and it's pretty similar here. We're going to have the Hog Puppet on the Royal Champion because A, we need the healing and the invis so our Royal Champion can stay alive. But B, if you use your Royal Champion with the Lalo or with the Dragon Riders, Queen Charge Dragon Rider is strong as well, we can get those hogs in the Warden ability in the Eternal Tome, and that makes this attack strategy even stronger. because it's a queen charge, we want the frozen arrow. You can use the invis vial instead of the mirror clone if you want, but the mirror clone is definitely better, particularly if you bring an invis or two with this attack strategy. One of my favorite armies that unfortunately might never come back into the meta is Super Bowler Smash. Now, you can bring the life gem if you want. The life gem's pretty handy on Warden Walks. Definitely don't bring the healing tome because then your Warden Walks are going to take far too long. But I really like the Rage Gem. Because you're bringing the Rage Gem, you don't have to bring as many Rages with the armies. You can bring more Invis, which is really good with Super Bowlers as a ranged unit, more skeleton spells and the like, and just make sure that the Super Bowlers never go down. The Archer Queen is going inside the base, so we want to bring the Frozen Arrow, both for the extra DPS and the slowdown effect, and obviously the Mirror Clone is insane, and the Earthquake Boots are definitely going to be needed to open the whole base up. Next up, we have Thrower Smash. This really isn't used much, but on the off chance that some of you are using it, decided to put it in the video. This is really one of the few armies where you don't have the Fireball or the Eternal Tome here, because the throwers don't really need it. They sit back so far. The Life Gem's really handy because the Apprentice Warden is terrible with the throwers, because the throwers actually outrange the Apprentice Warden. So we do like the Life Gem with this one, and then really everything else is the same. Next up, we have Electro Titan Smash, and this is the only army today where you're going to see the Yak, because what's the E-Titan's biggest weakness? You guessed it, it is the Yak, and you don't really do a Warden Walk at the start of this, so the Yak is going to get full value. Because the Queen's going to be funneling, because the Titans can shoot air defensive CCs or the defensive minion prince, so you don't need the Queen inside the base. We're going to use her to funnel, so then we're going to drop the Frozen Arrow and bring the Healer Puppet instead. That's really the big change up. You use the Mirror Clone no matter what, but if the Queen's inside, Frozen Arrow, outside, Healer Puppet. And then on the Royal Champion, you can use the Hog Puppet here. This one's a toss-up. Because your Queen's on the outside of the base, I'm assuming your Royal Champion's going to have a bit of tanking, so therefore you can go with the more offensive combination for her. But if you are sending her by herself, then look at the Hog Puppet instead of the Haste Vial. Then we have the only Super Archer Clone attack strategy in this video, Super Archer Clone Root Riders, and this is the best way to do it. You also use a very similar hero equipment and pet combination. If you do Hydra, you just drop the Diggy for the Owl, and then probably drop the Frozen Arrow for the Healer Puppet, but very much the same. And yeah, this attack strategy is strong. It's just Super Archer Clone is hard at Town Hall 17 in particular with the Inferno Artillery. Next up, you have generic Root Rider spam. So this is the OG version of it, where you're going to use your King and Queen to set a funnel. That's why we've got the Healer Puppet on the Queen here. So you're going to use them to set a funnel, and then you come in with the entire Root Rider Smash, so everything you see here plus the Root Riders obviously, into the base. That's why we have the Lizard, because we need the Lizard to deal with the defensive CC, just in case the Royal Champion doesn't, because some of the time people will send the Royal Champion by yourself with this attack strategy, and this is in contrast to the other Root Rider one, which is the Spirit Walk, and this is probably the strongest attack strategy in the game currently. You start off with the Spirit Walk, use 3 or 4 invis and a recall, and then you come in with your main push, and we're going to send the Queen inside the base so we can afford to bring the Frozen Arrow. Because the Queen's inside the base, we can bring the Diggy on the Warden rather than the Lizard, get that nice stunning value, and this attack strategy is ridiculous. I'm tripling with it constantly. Now, in case you're curious of which are the most valuable hero equipment and pets, you can see so here. Have a look at this. We're using the Phoenix and Frosty in every single attack, and the Fox in lots of them, and then we got really a split on everything else. In terms of the Barbarian King, I mean, this combination is just too strong, honestly. It is a perfect combination. The Earthquake Boots weakens every building nearby, and the Spiky Ball essentially finishes them off. The Giant Gauntlet's still pretty strong, and I'd still recommend you use it, particularly if you don't have the Spiky Ball or the EQ Boots leveled up, but I mean, why would you if you've got both of those leveled up? The Magic Mirror and Healer Puppet are still by far the 2 best hero equipment on the Queen. The Frozen Arrow and the Giant Arrow are solid, but you need to use them in specific case scenarios. Otherwise, the Healer Puppet and the Magic Mirror, you're always going to get value. Obviously, the Eternal Tome is the most useful Warden equipment. The Fireball is really only in a couple of attack strategies, but we know this. It's not in many attack strategies, but the 2 attack strategies it's in are 2 of the top 4 strongest attack strategies in the game currently, or top 5. So, I mean, that says everything you need to know about it. I wish the Life Gem was used more. I really do, and I hope the Lava Loon Puppet never gets used. In terms of the Royal Champion, the Electro Boots, I mean, it is the newest epic equipment, so it makes sense why it is so strong. if it gets a nerf, I wouldn't be surprised if this number doesn't move at all. It's just the Electro Boots opens up a whole new avenue for the Royal Champion. This has been ordered terribly, but it's interesting to see the Haste Vial and the Hog Puppet get an equal mix of sharing with the Electro Boots, and then obviously the Rocket Spear and Seeking Shield. Still a really good combo, it's just not as good as the Electro Boots, and then you even got the Minion Prince here, but not really much choice in that, and obviously we're only using that in the Hydra attack strategies. But that's it for the whole video. Hopefully everything I gave you in this video helped you make decisions for how you spend your ores. It's incredibly important how you spend them. Less so for me, because I've got all but 2 of them maxed, not that this counts as a hero equipment, so I've got only 1 equipment not maxed, but hopefully for you guys at home, particularly free to play, this helps you out on how to spend those very precious ores.